Hello, friends. So, this is episode 4 of the RoseGlassKnits podcast. My name is Laurel, and it is currently like 4:30 in the morning on Sunday. My work schedule and my sleep schedule have been crazy lately. So, we're just going to kind of keep it loose this time around. Probably not a lot of editing that's going to go into it so that I can get this up on Sunday for you. But hopefully that's okay. Hopefully that's okay. I'm gonna get like extra comfortable. I'm wearing basically what's the equivalent of a sweatshirt and sweatpants. So what I'm wearing today, this is the Felix Pullover by Amy Christoffers of Savory Knits. This is a pretty classic pattern. I feel like it's one that a lot of people have knit. It's a very sort of basic raglan style sweater with a really pretty kind of lace raglan detail, if you can see. It's very simple. It's a worsted weight sweater, so it knits up really quickly. I've made 2 of them so far. I think there's a good chance that there's more in my future. The one thing about this sweater that I would probably adjust the next time I knit it is a little bit more short row shaping in the back, because the neckline does sit up a little bit higher than I would like it to. And I find that I'm often like, whoops, adjusting, kind of pulling it down so that it's not sitting quite so high on my neck. But other than that, I really enjoy it. I do wish it were a little bit more size inclusive. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I knit either the largest size or the second to largest size. I'm a pretty classic standard US size 2XL. At the time when I knit it, I believe I had about a 49-inch bust. My bust is a little bit smaller now. Not significantly so, but a little bit. So I have a couple inches extra positive ease. And like I said, it really kind of fits like a sweatshirt, which I love. And of course, it's right in my color palette. So I knit this in Fiber for the People. This is her worsted weight yarn in the colorway Pinkish. It's kind of a rose gold, kind of muted mauve, almost like a nude color on me. You guys know that I love these kinds of colors that are a little bit pinkish, a little bit muted, sometimes a little bit peach. I have a habit of knitting sweaters that make it look like I'm not wearing anything when I wear them, which is not on purpose, for sure, but you'll see that when I show you some progress here in a bit. I did very briefly want to address, I am filming this after the election here in the United States. And I felt like if I didn't say anything at all, there would be people who were unhappy. And I felt like I did want to say something, but I just want to say that, I know there are a lot of people who have very strong feelings about how the election turned out. And I just want to say, like, as a reminder, not only for everybody who might be watching, but for myself, that the things that mattered to us before November 5th still matter. And we do have the chance to continue to be politically aware and active. We vote with our dollar every day. We use our voice in ways to support the things that matter to us. Sometimes we also vote through our silence. So, I just want to encourage you to continue to focus on what's important to you, to continue to, support people, companies, politicians, if you have them in your area who are supportive of the things that you believe in. And just remember that, things don't just stop because of an election. But I also want to make sure that this continues to be a space where people feel included, respected, and for this to continue to be a place people can come as a little bit more of an escape. Because for me, knitting is something that I do to ease my anxiety, to, again, sort of escape from things that might be going on in my life. It gives me a chance to focus on something else. And so I don't want this to be a channel where I really harp on things that are political. That comes from a place of privilege. I get the chance to have this space in my life that doesn't have to be um, so negatively impacted by things that are going on in the world. And there are negative things that impact us every day. And I want this to be a place where you feel like you can come, you can be yourself, and you're going to be treated with respect and kindness, as long as that is something that is kind of mutual and goes both ways. So, anyway, that is what I have to say about that. You know, anybody who knows me knows how I feel and knows what's in my heart, and um, the things that I choose to support, even in my knitting, I think can kind of tell you who I am. Um, and definitely, I want to continue to support people who, share a lot of similar ideals. Big things that I look for are definitely like size inclusion and ethical practices. I love to support brands that are smaller, family owned, women owned, minority owned. Um, that's something that's important to me. And if it's something that's important to you, then we're going to get along great. So, anyway, that is my little spiel. I hope that this continues to be a place where you feel comfortable just hanging out with me, knitting, talking, crafting, knowing that there are things going on in the world, but that we get to take these few minutes to ourselves and focus in on something else. So, anyway, um, we've talked about what I'm wearing. Let's talk about what I've been working on. I was able to get a little bit of work in these last 2 weeks. Again, my work schedule was just a little bit different than it normally is. I didn't get as much knitting time as I would have liked, but that's okay. So the first thing I'm working on is the Salty Days sweater by Veronica Lindbergh. You guys have seen this a couple times, I think. Um, I was able to join the front and the back. We have separation for the sleeves, and I'm just barely past where everything is joined. Um, I am just working in one of the charts right now. I have finished the sort of diamond motif, if you can see that kind of first round of that, and I'm now into a cabling section. But I'm really enjoying working on this. It's, again, knit up in worsted weight yarn, which means it goes nice and quickly. And as I say all the time, I'm a really slow knitter, so projects that seem to work up more quickly and give you a little bit more of that instant gratification, I am here for right now. I am working this up in the Good Karma soap and yarn, or yarn and soap. I feel like I get it wrong every time. Good Karma yarn and soap. This is their worsted weight wool and, how do I forget this every time? It's wool and alpaca, 60% wool, 40% alpaca, in the colorway Texas Green, which is a gorgeous tonal kind of foresty green. I am getting a little bit nervous that I might not have enough on hand, which is okay. I have 3 full skeins and a little bit of another that I'm still working on, the last little nugget. But I was able to find them online. They do still sell this colorway. I'm probably going to order a couple more. I know that dialettes may not be exactly the same, but I think we've got enough texture going on that if we alternate skeins, I should be able to make it look okay. And you guys know me, I typically don't alternate skeins, and I'm not usually bothered if things are off just a little bit. But we'll kind of see. I'll place that order here soon, and when they come in, I'll take a peek at them and see if that's something I need to do. But again, a gorgeous squishy yarn. The sweater is working up beautifully. I think it's going to be super cozy to wear. I'm loving the different textures. Again, it gives me something that I can kind of focus on when I need a brain on project. Um, and then I will show you guys the other sweater I've been working on that is my brain off project. That is the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. I've made some decent progress on it. I am just about to finish the ribbing on the hem. You can see that. The pattern calls for 3 inches of ribbing at the bottom, and I'm shooting for about 2.5. I think 3 is going to be just a tad too long for me. Again, I say it like every episode. I have a short torso, so I tend to crop things just a little bit so that they sit a little bit higher on me. Because I find that traditional like hip length sweaters tend to be just a tad too long. So I am cropping this just a tiny bit. But again, it's kind of a peachy color. It's a different peachy color than what I'm wearing, but it's still very similar. We're kind of in the same family. So you guys know how I am about that. I am knitting that up in Knitting for Olive Merino and Poppy Rose, and then the Soft Silk Mohair and Rose Clay, holding these two together to create the more muted peachy color that you're seeing here. And again, it's a very lovely basic pattern because it's majority just stockinette. It's a raglan shaping, and again, very simple, but something that will be a wardrobe staple. I was actually able to thrift a skirt not too long ago that has a very similar pink color in it. It's got like a floral pattern, and I think that it's going to be really cute with that. But it's also something that I can wear in a bunch of different ways. It is a little bit of a thinner fabric, but it's still nice and warm. So it'll be a great layering piece as the weather continues to get colder. I know I've been praying for fall, and fall is finally here. So I'm very, very happy about that. Um, those are the only things that I currently have on my needles. I did want to show you though, I am preparing to cast on the Traveler Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I did go ahead and cake up my hand spun for it, and I'm very excited about it. I love the way it looks caked up. It really is almost giving like a rainbow effect. So this is hand spun out of Three Waters Farm Interpoints, which is a Polwarth, I believe. um, and then the other is 316 Dye Studios. I'm remembering her name this time, hopefully, in Wooden Duck. And they're the same fiber. It's a 2-ply. I just spun each braid end to end and then plied them together and came up with this really pretty kind of muted, multicolored yarn. So I'm going to start working on this soon too. Definitely something that I want to get on my needles. I was really inspired to start working on this when I saw Andrea Mowry's most recent um, podcast episode, I'll Knit If I Want to, which I love. I watch every time she posts because she's so knowledgeable, and I love that she answers people's questions, and I learn all kinds of helpful tips from her. But she was wearing one of her shawls, and she just looked so snuggled up and warm, and I was like, it's time. I got to get this shawl on my needles. So very excited about that. Hopefully I will have a cast on, and probably not a ton of progress, but maybe a little progress next time you see me. And yeah, I'm just, every time I look at this, I'm like, just so happy. I don't know. It's my second hand spun yarn. So we love it. I am still working on my handspun project I talked about in episode 1. I've actually made some progress on that. I've been feeling more into spinning lately. I'm still working on my first braid. Again, it's a 2-braid combo spin. It's not really a combo, it's just 2 braids spun end to end of 2 different fibers and colorways that I'm really excited for. Should end up being kind of a warm autumnal tonal brown with a little bit of some interest to it. So I will show you that when I have a little bit more progress. Right now, it's just a couple bobbins of 1 spun fiber. It is very pretty, but it's not much to look at right now. But the final thing I wanted to share with you guys is actually a project that I'm going to frog. And that is, pull it up here. I started knitting a ripple bralette by Jessie Maed Designs probably back in July, and I lost steam on it. Now, I love this pattern. I have knit this pattern before. I have one that I've completed that I love. I wear it quite a bit. And I was like, I want another one. But I found that I didn't love the way that the yarn worked up. Now, this was a just kind of random fingering weight yarn that was in my collection. It didn't have its label on it. I don't really know what it is. It's mystery yarn, but it's very pretty and you can see it. It's in a ball here. It's kind of that pinkish tone, but it has some red, blue, yellow in it. Um, but the way that it worked up just with the circumference of the project, I got some color flashing that I didn't love. So you can probably see they're kind of squiggly lines, but if you look at the bright blue here, you can see it kind of creates the spiral effect. But if you look closely, you can see that it's doing that with like all of the accent colors. So you have the blue, the red. You may not be able to see it well, but there's yellow and then there's like a gray. And they're all kind of creating this same like wavy line effect throughout the body of the project. And I don't love that. It probably wouldn't bother me so much if some of the colors didn't contrast so much with the background color. Um, like the blue and the red next to each other, it just feels very obvious that it's kind of doing this. And I just don't love it. If you look at the just the ribbing on the hem, it really didn't do that same color flashing, and so you can kind of see when the colors are all spaced out how it works up. And that's really what I like. I like this kind of multicolored. You do get these like little bits of blue, little bits of red, little bits of yellow, but it's not all grouped together. um so I think it's just not the right yarn for this project. So I plan on frogging this guy. I had just started working on the fronts. I had cast off the back, um, and then the left and right side are worked separately on the front. And yeah, I'm not sure what this yarn is destined to become yet. It might be color work in something. I don't know. I don't know. If you have any thoughts about what a color like this would be good for, please let me know. I do have a fair amount of kind of neutral fingering weight yarn that could be paired with it. Again, to use as color work or something like that. Um, it could also make a great pair of socks. It feels like it's a merino nylon blend, so it definitely could be a good pair of socks or something like that. But yeah, it didn't quite work for this project, and that is okay. Again, I do also have some other skeins of yarn that I think would be great for a ripple bralette. And I do definitely want to make another one because I love having some knit tanks that I can wear under like cardigans or flannels. I wear a lot of flannels this time of year. So I definitely would like to have that in my collection, but this is just not, it's not it. I'm not loving it. Um, I do have a couple other projects that are probably going to be frogged. I'll talk about those a little bit more in detail because I do have thoughts about what that yarn will become eventually. And thankfully, I've got a nice big chunk of time off coming up, which means I should get some really quality knitting time in and get a chance to do a little bit more recording. I'm thinking about maybe vlogging the progress or the process of making the Anita sweater that I talked about, I believe, 2 episodes ago. It's a gorgeous fingering weight and mohair sweater with a little bit of lace detailing. It's very feminine, it's beautiful, and it's something that I want to work on after I finish the Cozy Classic Raglan. So if you would be interested in seeing a video that's dedicated to one knit and a little bit more long form, a little bit more involved in the process of knitting one pattern, please let me know. It won't be a tutorial or anything like that. I'm not really like a knitting teacher. um, but I think it would be fun to shine a little bit of a light on that pattern, and share a little bit more about my process and how I knit, those sorts of things. But yeah, that's really all I have for you this week. I know it's not the most polished video, but we're getting it done. We're getting it done. We're getting it up. Hopefully you can hang out with me. Again, it's a no pressure area. So, show up in your pajamas. We'll hang out. It does not have to be a highly produced thing. But I'm just glad that you're here, and I hope that you have a good next 2 weeks. I will see you again, and we'll chat more about our knitting. Please feel free to let me know in the comments what you're working on, because I love hearing about what people are knitting, spinning, crocheting, sewing. I take a lot of inspiration by seeing what other people are doing. So, yeah, that's all I've got for you. I will see you next time. Bye.